Back on the show now is the Joker, Jay Perrin, who's coming off his UFC 278 fight with Orichi Long just this past weekend. Jay, how you doing?
My pride in my bank account hurt, but that's about it, you know.
Man, I was on the edge of my seat at the end of that third round. I honestly thought that if you had just a couple more seconds, you were going to get him out of there. Did you feel the same way?
I did. I felt like if I had had 5 or 6 more seconds, he would have fallen down. But you know, props to him because I hit him 20 times in like 10 seconds, and not a lot of people would have, been able to withstand that. So he's a warrior and a zombie, and good to him.
And obviously it was a very close fight. Did you feel like you still did enough to get the nod?
I thought that I did. I thought that he won the first round. I thought it would go exactly how I thought it. You know what I mean? Like I predicted it would. He's going to come out hard. And he did, and he won the first round easy. But I took over the second and third rounds. I had, I think, 4 takedowns inside the whole fight. A flurry at the end. I controlled the pace. I don't know. I don't know what more I really could have done to prove it. I think that he hit me with one good shot in the second round and didn't wobble me. It just kind of caught me off balance, and that was the punch that ended it for the judges. So I don't know. I thought that we did enough to get the nod. So I'm kind of in a shitty position because of that.
Right. Yeah. And you did mention that one big shot that you landed in the second round. You said that didn't affect you at all. You were still 100% completely in there.
Totally fine. That first one, yeah, he did wobble me in the first round. The second one, he didn't.
All right. So when you were going back to your corner after the end of the second round, what was the game plan your team wanted you to go in there and execute in the third?
It's close. You know what I mean? We think we won the second round, but it's close. So you're gonna have to push. You're gonna have to get going. So that's what I did. I said he can't fight you off his back foot. He's exhausted. If you get him against the cage, you need to start flurrying. If it gets into the clinch, we need elbows and knees, and try and get a takedown if we can. I heard 20 seconds on the bell, and I just said, fuck it. I'm either going to go out or he is. So I just pushed off and started going.
How did your cardio feel in the third round? Did you still feel very fresh?
Fine. I got to go on 3 more rounds.
And I know there's a little bit of a language barrier there, but did you get a chance to talk to him after the fight? And if so, what did you guys say to one another?
Yeah, he's a good cat. You know what I mean? Yeah, even all week when we ran into each other, it wasn't really any animosity. It was, hey, how are you? Are you doing? How you feeling? How's the weight cut? Stuff like that. So he's generally a very nice guy. His team was cool. We got a nice picture together after. It was a good fight, and I can't blame him for what the judges believe. So I do believe they got it wrong, but what can you do? As long as the fans were entertained and people thought that I belonged to be in there, and that's all that matters, I suppose. So I had a couple of executives come up to me after the fight and tell me that I got screwed, and they thought that I won the fight as well. So I won in the eyes of the people that matter. So that's, I guess, the best I can go from that.
What was the whole experience like, fight week at UFC 278, Salt Lake City? It looked like the fans were really engaged. What was your overall takeaway from just, the venue, the fans and all that?
I loved it, honestly. And, when he got his hand raised, everybody started booing. And, I'm really big on sportsmanship. There's nothing we can do for that. So when I stepped out of the cage, I waved to everybody and said, no, don't boo him. He deserves the win. And the crowd really embraced me. So, everybody in Salt Lake walking around that night told me I won, and they're sorry that their state screwed me. And they were very welcoming. So, I really fed off the crowd, and making that walk was a dream come true. And it felt great. I really wanted to get in there and fight, as opposed to, a really intimate local crowd that doesn't have that. You know what I mean? That's more like a bunch of dickheads that drink too much. It seemed like Salt Lake City really embraced me, and thought that I won. So we're in the business to entertain the fans, and if there's a positive that I can take from it, it's that I did just that, and the world thought I won. So that's about it.
Did you get a chance to watch the rest of the event, or were you too busy doing post-fight obligations?
Nope, they usher you right out. They tell you to leave. I didn't even have my shirt on yet. They told me to leave. So if you don't win, you don't get post-fight obligations. So I literally got the doctor's thing. I had barely enough time to put my socks and shoes on before they put me in a car.
Did you watch the fights when you got back to the hotel?
I did. And up until the Rockholds fight, I was in the lead for fight of the night. So that was cool. But yep, It was fun. I'm happy for my teammate Marab, and a few others.
Yeah, well, I'm glad you mentioned Marab because that's something that I really wanted to get your opinion on. He looked amazing over a very game. Jose Aldo, what's next for him? Do you feel like he's put himself in line for a title shot?
I mean, the fight itself wasn't as spectacular as maybe people had predicted it would be. It was a dominant win for Marab did what he was supposed to do. Jose, we don't score judging off of takedown defense. So, you know what I mean? You can stuff as many takedowns as you want, but if you don't do anything with it, Marab is constantly being the one that pressures. You know that you're gonna lose. So I don't know how Jose thought that he won that fight, but it wasn't as, I guess, as spectacular or as much of a burner as it could have been. I think with the win puts him in a top 5 position. I don't think he gets a title shot with that particular fight. I don't think he wants one as long as Aljo's got the belt. They are really very close. I don't think that they're going to fight. Um, I'd say he gets a winner of maybe he gets Cheeto next. You know what I mean? Or he gets what's another matchup coming up?
Well,
I know he really doesn't like. He really doesn't like O'Malley or Piotr Yan. So that would be a nice little build up. You know, you could really push that, especially if he's fighting Piotr, because um, I think that would be a great fight. I think he can take anybody in the top 5. Um, he's smart. He displayed that he had a good game plan, and I think that he can beat anybody in there. So any of those matchups makes it interesting. The fact that he won't go against Aljo puts like a wrench in the cogs, but I can't blame him for that. I wouldn't fight my brother if I didn't feel I needed to.
right. So many great matchups to make at the top of the division, no doubt about it. I also wanted to just get your thoughts on the co-main and main event. Where do you feel like Luke Rockholds' legacy is at this point? You know, he's retired now. Obviously, this loss to a much younger fighter in Costa, it doesn't really mean much about everything he's accomplished in the sport. How great do you feel like he is, looking back at his career?
Luke Rockhold is a legend. No matter which way you slice it, you don't gotta like him. You know what I mean? You don't have to like what he says, even though he makes perfectly good points. You don't have to like how he goes about it. But that man is a Strike Force world champion. He's a UFC world champion. Um, he has put on some of the best, highlight reel finishes and fights that division has ever seen. He's been in there for how many generations now? Like two, like 2 generations of fighters coming up, and he was at the top of that heap forever. You know what I mean? So um, it's hard to ever count Luke Rockhold out. Maybe his chin went by the wayside a little bit towards the end, but and that last fight was so bad it was good. Um, but you can't take away the accomplishments that man has gotten to. Like, you know what I mean? The mountains that he has climbed, and to anybody to diminish that based upon your opinion about who he is as a person is just wrong. You know what I mean? You're wrong for that. So I truly believe Luke Rockhold deserves to be in the Hall of Fame, whether you like him or you don't. I personally think the guy is a straight shooter for the most part. Maybe he goes around about it the wrong way, but I agreed with a lot of the things he had to say during fight week. So
What did you think of the blood smearing incident towards the end of the fight? It was a little demonic.
is that illegal? Isn't that illegal?
I've never seen it before.
Can't use blood as a weapon. I'm pretty sure you can't do that. So I don't know. It's weird. It was a weird moment. That whole fight was fucking bonkers. I'm pissed in my hotel room watching it with Coach Wood, and I'm like, we're getting updates about who's getting the 50K fight of the night, and I was up to that point. It was me and Ori, and I was like, oh, let's go, and then all that madness happened. So I'm like, fuck you guys, because you guys stole $50,000 from me. But yeah, I don't know what that was. That was fucking nuts.
Yeah, that was definitely weird, man. And in the main event for Rocky Edwards to come back and to land that shot and put Usman out cold in the 5th round, I don't think many people saw that coming. What was your takeaway from that fight? And if you're going to play UFC matchmaker, is that trilogy fight the thing that has to happen at the top of the 170 division?
I mean, anytime you start claiming that somebody's a GOAT, you know what I mean, and then they lose, you have to give them a rematch. They're gonna give Usman his immediate rematch, no matter what Leon says. Leon's doing the right thing to try to avoid that. Excuse me. I think that Leon and him will do it back in London. Um, as far as the fight went, the corner work of Leon Edwards was amazing. Telling him, hey man, you stop feeling sorry for yourself and get going. But he needed to do that sooner because Usman was cruising through that fight. It was easy for him, and not that Leon wasn't doing some good things. And I remember even shaking Leon's hand and being like, "You're gonna get it done tomorrow. I know it." I remember talking to him right before. He needs to find that sooner, because he is a much more well-rounded striker than Usman. He's a much more well-rounded fighter in every which way. I do think that if he comes back with an air of confidence, that's gonna be quite the barn burner. But he can't show up like he did again because a wounded Usman is a dangerous man. You know what I mean? That guy he's not the champion anymore. Now he's going after the belt he lost. He's gonna come back like a bat out of hell. So uh, I don't know. I'd still give it to Usman because of how well he was cruising. Not to say that shot was lucky because it wasn't. He set that shot up at the first round. If you watch it again, and they made the right read, and that's what happened. So I was happy that Leon got to get the title. For a lot of my British friends, they don't have that, and Leon's a good guy. So I hope that when they run it back, Leon shows up with a little bit more gusto.
If Usman can't make it to the trilogy fight, let's say he gets injured, do you like Leon's chances against Colby or Chimaev, or do you feel like those are bad matchups for him?
He's got a better chance against Colby than Chimaev, my opinion. Chimaev is literally a dog. Like he's a hungry, hungry rabid wolf, and he's going to come out. He's much bigger, even than Usman, and Usman is a large man. Um, I think that Colby's a little bit more suspect as far as his durability goes. If Leon can stop Usman's takedowns or even get up from them, I think that he can stop Colby's takedowns. Hamzat is an anomaly that, unless you're hitting as hard as Gilbert Burns, you know what I mean, it's going to be hard to put him away. So I don't think that he can't beat either of those two, but I think of the two matchups, he'd rather face Colby. I don't understand why Colby would get a title shot though. You know what I mean? Get what I'm saying? He hasn't won any of them. He hasn't fought anybody else besides Usman. You know what I mean? Like I don't get where that would come in. Like I don't understand the loot you lost to a champion twice, and then now there's a new champion, so you get a third one. It's like you know what I mean?
You,
Maybe the division is so thin right now that we can't do that, but I just don't think that that's appropriate.
you didn't think that second fight with Colby and Usman was very close? A lot of people thought Colby could have won.
I'd have to watch it back again because I watched it a while ago, but I thought that it was as close, but I don't think I don't think Colby did enough in the second fight as much as he did in the first one. So I think he fought a little bit more reserved the second one, and that kind of cost him. So if Colby comes out like he does and is the Chaos Covington that he claims to be, then he can do that. He can absolutely run that back and beat anybody, honestly, with pressure. His pressure is ungodly. So um, I think that it was just as close, but Usman was more definitively the winner in the second one than the first one, if that makes sense.
Okay, yeah, fair enough. Well, I appreciate you recapping UFC 278 with me, bud. And I know you're disappointed about the outcome of your fight, obviously. But one thing is clear: you have a very bright future here in the UFC. So, last question for me before we sign off: when are you hoping to get back in there? Do you want to get in there before the end of 2022?
December. That's when I want to get back in there. I'm trying to get back in there and put on another fight and finish this time and make some adjustments. But I found that my what's wrong with my pacing is that I've been doing 5-round fights for 2 years. So my pacing has been towards 5-round fights. That's why I pick up a little bit more in the second and third rounds. So for the next few months, we're going to be working on, getting right to it, the 3-round fights. You know what I mean? I got 3 rounds. I got to get going immediately, establish my range and get going. Because if you haven't noticed in my two appearances, as soon as I get into my boxing range, I start unloading, and I can hit anybody with my combination work. So I'm glad I got to display my striking as well as my wrestling ability. You're going to see an improved me, and Yeah, in December. I'd like to hit the MSG card if we can. So we're working on that if that's possible. Um, but yeah, I'd like to get in one more time this year. If not, then early next year.
All right, Jay. Well, listen, I appreciate the time as always, man. I look forward to chatting with you whenever that next time is.
Thank you, my man. Thank you for having me.